Alright guys, this video is going to be epic. I will be talking about Revenant and why I believe Revenant is trash and you shouldn't be using it unless you're a beginner. Again, if you're a beginner, that's out of the question. You don't know the characters in the game, you don't know the talents and the items yet, you're not really that familiar with the game. Go ahead, use Revenant, I don't mind. I would even encourage that since the beginning it is going to be wise to approach more defensive stance in the general case. However, if you have been playing the game for a long time, I think that using Revenant is super bad thing and you should make sure that you don't use it immediately. And don't worry, I'm going to give you very detailed arguments on why I believe this is the case, and I hope that I will convince even the biggest supporters of Revenant and Bone Shield why those two talents are complete trash. First thing first, I have been playing the game since March 2017, that's more than 6 years now. And in the beginning I used Revenant as well. However, certain things changed. For instance, we got Tower of Horror with the Living Dead. Fusion 0 basically does the same with Revenant does. However, it happens all the time, so it's not relying on chance. And then Ice Linkway Tower happened. Then we got the, I believe it was called the Frost Orb, again at Fusion 0. I know people are going to retaliate that not many people have that. I will get to that argument in a second. What I'm saying is that I just found myself with two alternatives of Revenant, and those alternatives of Revenant didn't rely on chance. So I said to myself, you know what? I will drop Revenant. And ever since then, I'm not using it. And to be honest, this was the best decision I ever made in Mortal Kombat Mobile. The moment you stop using Revenant, you will become a much better player because so many other variables will come into play. Every single time you use Revenant, you always start the game with the mindset that Revenant might trigger, Bone Shield might trigger. So you're relying on those things. If you start the fight with a mindset that those things are gone, everything changes. Trust me, everything changes. You become a much better player. You start paying attention on how many bars of powers you have, which characters from the enemy is going to tag in, with how many bars of power, what can you do to stop it, can you weaken, can you power drain, can you cripple. So much better. And in case that you know that there is nothing you can do, you have to eat the damage, you can use some of the items that can save you, or let's say give you shield or whatever, or make you immortal, with 100% certainty. And then you can actually focus your gameplay around that, because you cannot focus your gameplay around Revenant. That's the biggest problem with Revenant. You know, a Revenant a couple of years ago was better, and then they reworked it or fixed it. What I mean by that is, imagine that you were at 5 HP, and enemy classic Raiden tags in and does special 2 on you, and you have Revenant. I mean, the talent is there. 2 or 3 years ago, this will mean that 100% you're going to trigger Revenant, and that was good, because you can control it. What I mean by that? Revenant says that on player death, that many percent chance to be reduced to 1 health point. But, in a way, if classic Raiden is doing special 2 and you're 5 HP when he starts doing his special 2, every single of his mini hits on his special 2 is actually deadly. So the Revenant chance was being calculated on every single one of those mini hits. Imagine, you have 5 HP, he puts you on the ground and puts, let's say, 10 lightnings inside your body, and each of those lightnings is doing 1000 damage. So each of those lightnings is lethal. So in the first lightning you have 30% chance to trigger Revenant, the second lightning 30% chance to trigger Revenant, and sooner or later you know that Revenant is going to be triggered. The chance of it not triggering out of Special 2 of Classic Raiden was non-existent. So you could use Revenant in order to build a strategy around it because you can control it. Now you cannot control Revenant. It is a pure chance. It will work, but it will not work. It's the same thing with Chinook Teaching. In a general case, I don't want to get special attack. I don't want to eat special attack. So in a way, if I'm taking a special attack to my face, I know that I did something wrong. Or in very rare cases, you know, there are rare cases where you cannot do anything. You're just going to take it. Still though, I know many of you are going to retaliate. But man, you often use Outward Scorch. And Outward Scorch is reliant on chance. That's true. However, there is one big difference. I can control the outcome of Outward Scorch. I cannot control the outcome of Revenant. What I mean by that? If I'm in control of the fight, and I'm fighting, and I'm power draining, and I'm doing special ones, for instance, Classic Scorpion, or let's say I'm spamming special ones with MK11 Scorpion, or Classic Rain, I know that because those characters are good, and I play them well, I know that sooner or later this is going to trigger. And I know this is going to trigger in this very match, and if I do, let's say, 15 special ones in a row of Classic Rain, I know that this is going to trigger, so it will let me, let's say, get to special 2 since I'm getting special 1 for free. I can kind of center my entire strategy around that because I know it will trigger during the match. I will set the stage in a way so that I know it will always trigger. I cannot say the same for Revenant. what should I do? Should I start eating special attacks until I get the bone shield activated, and for what? Or should I, for instance, try to die so that I trigger this? No! In the general case, you don't want to die, you don't want to eat special attacks. So, if this thing happens, it's always better to control the fight, so it makes sure that the end result is not going to affect you in you dying. For instance, you can have shield, you have weakened the enemy, you have crippled the enemy, you have power drained the enemy, or you have something that will 100% save you from dying. And now you're going to say another counter argument, but man, what about the fact that it is better to have Revenant and Shinnok's teaching compared to not having them? I agree. The problem is that in order to get there, it is the last, you see, it's the last two talents, you have to sacrifice a lot of points. A lot of points that you can allocate in the other two tiers, support and offense, which are much, much better and more useful than Revenant and Bone Shield that can be occasionally useful. Hey guys, this is me from the future, so in a way what I'm saying here, if Bone Shield and Revenant were unlockable in the very first two tiers of the defense tree, I would definitely say that it's perfectly fine to use them, but since you have to invest so much in them, their value drops significantly. Now, this brings me to the next argument. Not many people have gear that will save you from dying, or let's say it's very good defensive item. Now, when it comes to gear that saves you from dying, I kind of agree. There are not that many pieces, however, there are certain pieces that everyone can have, and in this particular video, I'm just going to showcase the rare pieces. And trust me, the rare pieces are extremely easy to get. Every single person can get a rare piece. Now, there is one rare piece that can save you from dying, which is maxed out. This is the Roken token. I believe I used it. But let's agree, let's agree for the sake of argument that if you have been playing the game for 1 year or 1.5 years, then you don't have a single piece that saves you. Let's agree. Let's say that you have this piece of Fusion 8. Even though, again, my whole argument was that since you have maxed out diamonds, you have played a lot, so in the process you have accumulated good roster collection of items. So this will also include defensive items, and will inevitably include an item that will save you from dying. But let's agree that the person doesn't have a single piece that prevents him from dying. Let's say this piece is Fusion 7, and it doesn't have this particular effect about the fatal damage unlock. Let's see how many amazing defensive items I will count from my collection that work extremely good at Fusion 0. Weaken that. Gain shield at the start of the match and on tag in for 15 seconds. Of course, at Fusion 0 it's lower, but on average you can have this Fusion 4, Fusion 5 without even breaking a sweat. It's super easy. So you can have shield easy on tag in and in the beginning of the game. You don't have to have it maxed out. Varmin's Lucky Hat, on tag out, 20 seconds of Team Shield. At Fusion 0, 10 seconds of Team Shield. Absolutely enough. You don't have to have it maxed out. Let's say another one. Let's see. Shinta of Malice is, again, can we count as a defensive item because at Fusion 0 it gives you 20% resistance to all debuffs, to the entire team. Let's count it, okay. Rocking token we already established. Let's see, I believe there was an armor that I missed. There is an armor that I missed, definitely, so let's focus here on the armors. And the armor, ladies and gentlemen, is Dynasty Parade uniform. Regeneration special 2. It's not 100%, but at least, again, you can control it. You can spam special 2 over and over and over again until you get the regeneration, and that's fine. Still, you can have it at Fusion 0. You don't have to have it maxed out. Another super overpowered defensive equipment. Another super powered defensive equipment. You become immortal on tagging. Why do you require Revenant? Why? If you control the fight and you use those items to the best of your ability, you shouldn't require Revenant. Now, in certain cases, despite all of this, you might die. It's inevitable. However, in certain cases, you might die even when using Revenant. But the point is, if you are controlling the fight, if you're using the defensive items that work all the time, and you basically base your strategy around them, in the general case, you won't die ever, especially in survival mode. And this brings me to survival mode. The only time when I ever would die in survival mode is because somebody has the fucking bone shield on. The problem with the bone shield is that you cannot counter it. You cannot start punching or whatever, they don't react to the hits, you cannot do anything. You can only, if you have, for instance, something to cripple or anything, but in the general case, it's super unfortunate thing to face because there is no counter for it. That's the biggest problem. So when you play against it, it's super annoying. So I was actually accused that I am, what was the word? It was an interesting word. I am actually misleading people because I am a whale and I'm just spending and I don't understand the free-to-play thing. Guys, I started brand new accounts a year ago, I believe something, and I beat Normal Tower without spending a dime in 30 days. Then I beat Fatal Tower without spending a dime for 60 days. I beat it, I didn't spend a single penny, and I never for 1 second used Revenant or Bone Shield. Never. And now, this brings me to the point. We were arguing with a person. I don't want to talk names and stuff because I want to attack the argument, not the person himself. So he was arguing that survival mode is very, very important. My whole argument, he asked me, okay, do you often play survival mode? I said, no, I don't play survival mode at all. And he said, if this is the case, then you cannot talk. Like, first thing first, I used to play survival mode a lot when this mode actually mattered. Now I don't play survival mode at all because it doesn't matter. This mode is the worst waste of time in MK Mobile, objectively speaking. This mode is super, again, super bad. It doesn't give you anything valuable. You literally need to spend tens of hours grinding with different teams so that you can get a score that you cannot even guarantee a diamond character. Again, survival mode doesn't guarantee a diamond character, even if you rank as, what was the last rank? I forgot its name. It wasn't champion, it was like legend or something. Let's see. Season rewards. What was the contender 1 and contender 1? Then 2, there was a champion or something. Champion, master, grandmaster, and legend. If you rank here in legend, that's horrible grind, and I mean that horrible grind. You're going to get 150 souls. That's ridiculous, guys. This is super bad. 150 souls is nothing in this game, and you're going to get, look at this, there is 20% chance not to get a diamond. You spent not 100, let's say tens of hours grinding, and there is 20% chance not to get a diamond. Again, you don't guarantee to get a diamond. And the problem with that is that even if you agree that the reward for legend is okay, you need to be playing the game for years in order to be able to rank as legend. If you're a new player, or let's say an intermediate player who has been playing for a year, you should be lucky to get to master. Okay, especially if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, you can't even get to champion. And if you rank champion, there is how many? 27% chance to get a diamond. So on average, you need to do 3 seasons not to get 1 diamond. This is super bad because instead of you wasting your time in this mode, you can do towers to guarantee diamonds, and you can do crypt to guarantee diamonds, golds, and the equipment that you require. So currently, guys, survival mode is irrelevant. It's in the worst state ever. It doesn't give you anything valuable. And this is not only according to me. I recently asked you, what is your best mode, which is the mode that you prefer in order to gain diamonds, which is the most important thing in the game, right? To gain diamonds and equipment. You can see for yourselves what is the score of survival mode. I want survival mode to be better, but at the current state of the game, there is no point playing survival mode, especially as a beginner. 0 point playing survival mode. You can say that you can play a little bit so that you can rank, I don't know, for instance here, just to get a diamond card or something. I would say that that's okay. If you're able to rank there with not many hours wasted or something, but trying hard in survival mode, in my opinion, is not worth it. It's just a waste of time. So if you have to choose, you don't have the entire world in the planet, you have to choose between survival mode, towers, and crypt, you should never choose survival mode because it's currently a bad mode. It's not that rewardful. That's another argument against bone shields and whatever. Because the only place where you ever face bone shields is survival mode and quick mode. That's it. You're not going to face bone shields in towers. You're not going to face bone shields in crypt. So if I'm saying that I hate those things, I don't want to say them just because I'm annoyed when I face such type of players. I am annoyed actually, but the main reason is because I'm trying to convince people that these talents are bad and they'll become better at the game if they stop using them. That's it. I don't play survival mode currently. I played a lot of survival mode before, but currently I don't play. It's worthless for my beginner account. It's worthless for my veteran account since I have already maxed out. So the point is, on my beginner account, I don't have enough characters, even good diamonds and good fusion, so I can attack contender 1, 2, 3 or whatever. I just have golds, and I believe I have 5 or 6 maxed out golds, so in a way I cannot go for elder, I can just go for fatal. I can go to elder with, let's say, fusion 2 or 3 characters, but it's not really worth. It's not really worth at all. Again, I won't be able ever to max at master or grandmaster, even if I try the hardest on my beginner account. At the same time, if I invest the same time, for instance, in a tower, I can guarantee myself a lot of diamonds. You see where I'm going? The only place where a survival mode would be good is, for instance, let's say that you have a lot of diamonds maxed out, but you're lacking a lot of Day of the Dead team members, and there is a survival mode, let's say, season that offers a lot of Day of the Dead, so you can actually try hard there, and only praying to get one of the dead members. But again, you can try hard, and you can left empty-handed after it, because again, it's chance-based, and the chance is not really that great. In order for you to be successful in survival mode, you don't have to use Revenant. You need to have a good collection of diamonds and gear. If you're relying on Revenant to be successful in survival mode, there's something wrong. That's the truth. Because that means you're often getting destroyed, you're often getting sniped, usually you're often eating special attacks and stuff like this. And the last thing that I want to mention, I'm going to close the video. I hope that you're not going to get offended by it. Now, the thing is, on this channel, I'm going to say what I think. I'm not going to say what you want me to say, right? If I say what you want me to say, that means that I'm not honest, I'm a dishonest person. I'm saying what I think is right. If somebody convinced me that everything that I said isn't right, I'll say, okay, I was wrong. Bone Shoot is the best talent ever. But for now, based on my experience in the game for 6 years, basically dumping those 2 talents was the best decision that I ever made. And I hope you're going to do it. Just if you don't trust me, just do it for a week. See the end result and thank me later. Alright, and the last thing that I want to mention before I close the video, actually, the very last thing is that even if you're in a situation when you don't have any ways of resurrecting or something, you can always use characters that can do that. You have Strike Force Scorpion, you have Quan Chi, you have MK11 Sub-Zero. There's so many characters that are very good defensively, you can utilize them. You have, for instance, MK11, what was the guy? MK11 Rain that has the recovery boost. You have gear that gives you recovery so that you can tag out and then tag in back in 5 seconds later with maxed out health. You don't need to have maxed out tower equipment in order to basically do survival mode. And if you don't trust me, I'm welcome to do a video where I'm going to destroy survival mode Elwood Tower without any single great equipment, without any issues whatsoever. I don't mind doing it, but I know that even if I do it, somebody will say, but you know what, you did this, and if you did this and that, then that would not going to be the same, so you're wrong. So I know what, whatever I do, whatever I say, certain people will not like it and they will not accept it. But if you're open-minded and you think that I know what I'm talking about after 6 years in the game, then just dump those 2 talents, test it for a week, and then let me know what the end result is. See you next time, guys. Take care.
Perfect.